All right, so today's episode, we're going to talk about the top five teams that I think have a chance to win it all. So I'm going to go through my top five, and then I'll explain why his top five are bad picks. So my number one best pick is the Phoenix Suns. I think they have the most complete team in the NBA. Devin Booker, he's been having a great season. Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, they anchor that defense. They also have a great coach, which could have been a Laker coach, but we'll talk about that at a later time. I honestly thought the contract issue with DeAndre Jordan would actually affect this team more because it could be a distraction. I don't know why he hasn't gotten an extension, but I mean he's still playing great. I think having Chris Paul there has kind of helped him go through this situation because I'm sure Chris Paul has seen other people go through it, so he can give him some advice. So he's willing to prove, hey, I'm worth the money. So this is my personal favorite team to win it all just because of that. Number two is the Bucks, and the only reason why the Bucks aren't my favorite team to win it all is because Brook Lopez, mainly he's been injured all season. He gets rebounds, and he really helps space the floor. They do have True Holiday. Chris Middleton played insane out of his mind last year in the playoffs. Now, the negative with this team is that they did let PJ Tucker go. Now, PJ Tucker plays for Miami, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out because PJ Tucker was basically guarding the best player on the other team on a night in and night out basis. Chris Middleton, he's a good defender too, but I mean, you're asking him to guard the best player and be a scorer on the other end of the floor. So I think they are really leaning on Bobby Portis this year. I mean, he's been playing good, but Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis are both going to have to step up and fill that void left by PJ Tucker. All right, number three, I got the Miami Heat at number three. I love Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry. They both make a great duo. You got Bam, anchoring the defense down low, and you got Tyler Hero, who's really come along this season. Also, too, they did get PJ Tucker, who's obviously helped the Bucks last year win a title. That can guard the other team's best player. Now, also, they're supposed to get Victor Oladipo back before the playoffs, so this could be like a very deep basketball team heading into the playoffs. Number four, I think, is a sleeper, is the 76ers. I love the James Harden trade. I personally think the 76ers won the James Harden trade, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but I think it'll work out better for Philly than it will Brooklyn. If you double James Harden, multiple players are going to be open for shots. If you double Joel Embiid, again, James Harden can knock down threes easily. James Harden is going to bring a level of playmaking that, yes, they did have with Ben Simmons, but also, too, James Harden can score. You're not leaving James Harden open. My only concern, really, for this team is the level of defense. So James Harden isn't a good defender. He's an okay defender. I mean, his defense has improved a lot since his Houston days. So my only concern really is the defense when you have to guard Chris Middleton, Giannis, Jimmy Butler, those guys. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do. But they're definitely a sleeper team. Number five, we're not going to spend too much time on. It's the Lakers. Moving on. Now let's go into my best friends team. Okay. 1 through 4, I feel like for myself are solid picks. Okay. I'm actually concerned for my best friends picks here. Okay. So let's start with the Warriors. They're a solid pick. Great pick. Honestly, they could definitely go to the finals. My only problem is the second half of the season, Curry hasn't looked the same. He hasn't shot very well. In his standards, he hasn't shot very well the second half of the season from the three-point range. Draymond has been out like 20-plus games, and Draymond isn't getting any younger. He also has TV deals to be on TNT, so I'm wondering if he has a podcast, so I'm wondering if he's already setting up post-career for himself. James Wiseman, their number 2 pick, hasn't played at all this season. Okay, that's actually a concern. Anthony Davis has been hurt 3 or 4 times and has been able to play a couple games. This guy is younger, and he hasn't been able to play all season. You need a big body to guard some of those guys out east. And even, Phoenix, they have DeAndre Ayton out there, so you're going to need a big body. Okay, and number 2, he's got the Nets. Now, you guys are probably saying, but Joel, it's the Brooklyn Nets. They got KD. Listen, there's so many question marks with this team, as there has been since the team has been put together. And I think a lot of people would say, well, in the NBA, a lot of people say, well, the NBA, you can put 2 or 3 guys together and you can probably go win a title. And I think the Miami Heat fooled you guys because that's not always the case. Okay, especially with the Nets. The Nets have been together 3 seasons, and the most that they've gotten is to an Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, so it just goes to show you that you can still have talented players, but you still have to put in the work. Okay, you can't cheat your way to a title. Okay, so Kyrie, will he be able to play in home games when the playoffs start? How will KD look after his MCL injury? Also, Ben Simmons hasn't played basketball in like 9 months. Okay, so as talented as this team is, you still need to be coherent. You still need to find some sort of chemistry throughout the regular season. You need to play alongside each other. So, like I said, you got to build that chemistry during the regular season. I don't have the Nets winning a title this season, but I could definitely see them like next season. They'll be all right. But they're not my title pick for this season, like at all. Like at all. If they make it to the second round, I will be surprised. All right. So number 3, we got the Bulls. Or he has the Bulls at number 3. Honestly, I like the Bulls. I live in Iowa, and I could go see a Bulls playoff game. So that would be great. Honestly, the Bulls being a top-tier team is really good for the NBA. There's so much history in that building. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, obviously. My heart is telling me that they are a contender and they have a legit shot. DeMar has played the best basketball of his career alongside his co-star Zach LaVine. Made the All-Star team this season. You got Vucevic, Lonzo, Caruso. They bring that defense along with them. The problem is, just with this team, everybody from the players to the coaches, they just don't have playoff experience. Zach LaVine's never been in the playoffs. You do have DeMar, who's been in the playoffs. Lonzo has never been in the playoffs. I don't even think their coach has been in the playoffs. The only one there that does have some experience is Caruso. So that could definitely help him. He could be kind of like their Rajon Rondo. They're 2-10 against top 10 teams in the NBA this season. I've honestly been paying really close attention to them. And against the 76ers, the 76ers didn't even have a full team, and they came in and they just destroyed the Bulls. Being 2-10 against top 10 teams is really concerning because you have to get up for these matchups to see where you line up against them. Vucevic, while he is a really good offensive player and he is a big body, my concern is that he's really slow. Like when you watch him as a big, he's just really slow. So guarding against guys like DeAndre Ayton, Joel Embiid, and obviously Giannis, that's going to be interesting. And also it's going to take a lot of coaching to help with those guys. Not one guy can guard Joel Embiid, right? Like there's nobody in the league that can just guard Joel Embiid and Giannis one-on-one. It has to be a really good game plan. So my only thing for them is just experience. They just don't have enough experience, but hopefully I'm wrong. Number 4, he's got Memphis. I love Ja Morant, Desmond Bane. But again, in the playoffs, it matters. Experience matters. I think next year they'll take that leap. They'll get the experience this year, and then next year they'll take a really big leap. They're a crazy fun team to watch, 100%. I just don't really see them making a deep playoff push. And number 5, he has the Dallas Mavericks. I love Luka. Luka has played the Clippers like twice in his playoff career. Probably not going to do that again this season because they're like in the eighth slot going for a playoff play-in game. I like the moves that they made. They got rid of the unicorn. Their defenses look better without him. Spencer Dinwiddie, I feel like fits really well next to Luka. Luka's lost like 20 pounds. So, I mean, he's able to be more mobile. I just don't think they have enough firepower to really go the distance with this team. Honestly, all that being said, I like my chances to win this bet.